You are muted, Lynn.
Oh, we're live.
Linda, I think we're ready to go.
Are we ready to go? All right. Hello, all, and welcome again. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to our Facebook group for joining in, to our live stream, and to our TESOL site folks who want to join us. Please tell your friends. This is going to be a fantastic webinar. Don't miss it. So today we have Mr. Khassoum Diop, and we are thrilled that he is here with us. He is a teacher and teacher trainer and works with the Association of Teachers of English in Senegal. And as Liz just pointed out, he is our first speaker for a Sunday, and what a better way to spend your Sunday than listening to Khassoum and interacting with this great webinar. And he is going to talk to us about designing a blended learning English language program in Senegal. And this is a topic that is very current and relevant, and we're very excited to have you with us, Khassoum. So I will go ahead and turn it over to you. And if you have questions, if anyone has questions, please drop your questions in the chat, and we will address them either when there is a break or after Khassoum is finished. We will direct the questions to him. So we'll monitor that. So please go ahead and put your questions in the chat box as Khassoum is talking with us. Okay? All right. I am going to turn it over to you, Khassoum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda, and hi, everyone. I'm so happy and so excited to be given the opportunity to share with you, with this wonderful audience following from everywhere in the world. Yeah, I really would like to express all my heartfelt gratitude to this wonderful team who gave me this opportunity to talk to you, knowing the context of my topic, because we were selected to present at the TESOL Pittsburgh, but unfortunately we did not make it, and they told me, no worries, we're gonna give you a chance. And they did it. And they did some sacrifices by choosing a Sunday, which wasn't easy for them, but they say it's worth trying, and they tried and they made it. So really, I can't express all my heartfelt gratitude. So thank you, CPD Network, Career Path Development, for such a great opportunity. So I'm going just to share my screen and see exactly what it turns out. Yes, can you see my screen? Yes, and I would also say thanks to all the people coming again, joining us. It's really amazing to see people really interested in CPD. And also, as I said, it is always a rendezvous of give and take. I share, I listen to you, and I take note. And when back home, I have my mind more stretched ever before. So today's topic is designing and implementing a blended learning English program in Senegal. Yes, it's kind of big innovation. It's kind of a big achievement to have this first program in Senegal and in a particular context. So I decided to share with you some aspect of this program. How did we initiate it? How did we implement it in our country? What were the steps, the procedures? What were the challenges we faced? And how would you deal with this in your context if ever you are planning to have it? Or how would this help you or inspire you if ever you have once heard about this program and you were saying, well, now where to start, what to do? So I think this topic and this presentation could be a kind of forecast for you to have some ideas and input. Next is about the session outline. What I want to do today with you is First, I would like to share the background context. I mean, in Senegal, in West Africa, what looks like the context in which we teach and our students learn. Maybe it will be different from yours, or it will be similar, but we will see exactly. The second one, I will just try to, not to define, to give a definition, but just to explain a bit what we understand from blended learning in our perspective, in our context, and why we should go for blended learning. What would be the benefit, taking into consideration our context, our challenges? Does blended learning serve us as an asset, as an opportunity, or just a kind of challenge to face up? We will see. Because our context is a particular one, so will blended learning be beneficial to us? And we'll see all this later on. Well, I would be very happy also to discuss with you the challenges we faced, how our teachers went through this method, this approach, how our students also faced the program, the blended learning in their classroom, and what was the effort, what were the responses we gave as teachers and as students and as partners, as officials, in order to make the implementation of this program a successful one. Yes, because next to the challenges, we have to face up the challenges and try to go beyond the challenges. And those solutions can't come from anywhere but the students, the teachers, the authorities, and the partners. And I will be ending up with what I entitled as best practices to implement blended learning. So if you are in my similar context in Africa, West Africa, or wherever you are, and wanted to to implement blended learning and to see that you might have the same challenges, so here are some ideas that we can try to adapt or adopt in our context just to make this program a wonderful one. Now, coming to my context, in Senegal, Senegal is a country in West Africa characterized by being an AFL context. That is, English is a second language. We were not born in English, but we learn how to speak English. Another thing also to be considered is we have large class size. And believe me when I say sometimes we can go up to 880 students or 100 students in a classroom, in a single classroom. And our students also come from a lower economical background. Poverty is a big challenge, but despite all, parents, knowing the importance of education, decide and do their best in order to send their children to school and have education. And also the authorities, the school authorities are doing their best in order to support those families who are, living stricken by poverty. And next to this economical and physical aspect of our classrooms, we also try to integrate technology in our classroom because it was kind of a trend and a necessity as technology was gaining ground and we could not go without having it. So despite our context, despite our low resources, we try it hard to implement or to integrate technology with our limited means and resources, because a smartphone and a Bluetooth speaker and a video projector would be enough to have a listening comprehension class, to have a video projections, and so on and so forth. So, however, economically low was our background, and however difficult was the classroom environment, we tried hard to integrate technology with the smallest tech tools we have. And you will see with the spread of social media, the development of social media also, we say next to the technology, we have to integrate our in our educational system, the social media, because it played a very important role in English language teaching. You will see why, because I am a teacher, I am addicted to social media. our students also are. So everyone is addicted to it. So why not to integrate technology, social media in our daily routine, that is teaching and learning. One thing important also to consider is our students being tech savvy. They always have a smartphone wherever they go, whatever they do. They have in their phone, in their pocket, in their bag, in their purse, this device that we say, why not to integrate it in our school, in our educations. That's another breakthrough, another important event happened with the COVID-19 pandemic, which had a devastating effect in the school educational field. What happened? The breakout of the COVID-19 prompted us to stay at home while we were facing the necessity to continue teaching and learning. And we say, how could we do that? Well, if we can't come face to face, how would we continue our teaching? And we say, let's try online learning. Let's try remote teaching because we have technology, because we have social media, and mostly because our students are tech savvy, they can use their smartphone. Next to that, there is a program of the government that is called home learning. So this program might be the inspiration that conducted us to go blended learning, because while we were in the pandemic, some areas were not really hit by the pandemic, while some other areas were deep down hit by the pandemic. So the level of experience relating to the pandemic was not the same everywhere. So at a certain extent, some were going online, but some schools were having face-to-face. So the mere fact of realizing in a given period, in a given context, in a given class, in a given school, some were going online, others were going face-to-face, and the idea now come to one particular partner. He said, wow, since we have the opportunity to go online and we have the opportunity to go face-to-face, let's have a program that we see if it can fit into this context, and that will be our blended learning that I'm very happy to share with you. Now, who was that partner? And this is the RELO, the Regional English Language Officer, which was the pioneer and a strategic partner of blended learning in Senegal. So what happened with the RELO? So the RELO in 2004, it initiated the English Access Micro Scholarship Program. That is to have in Senegal specific classes different from the normal one. Because remember, in my context, I said we have like up to 50, 80, 100 students. But the RELO count with this program say, no, let's have a normal one. And I say normal is applying to other contexts. Let's have a class of 16 students or 20 students. And we see how could we run these students with a specific program that is called the Micro Scholarship Program. And it started in some region, like 2 or 3 region, 4 region, before it is extended to the region where I am teaching. It is in the northern part of Senegal. Next to that, since we were in the period of the pandemic and people started resorting to remote teaching, this RELO offered digital literacy training to teachers because they had a program in their mind. But they say, before we implement this program, let's have a training to our teachers for them to better use the tech tools that we might use in a blended learning class. So they initiate a training program in 6 regions or 7, where teachers were trained on how to use PowerPoint, how to use Microsoft Office, and how to use Zoom as well, including then how to use Google Classroom. Next to this training of literary training on digital literacy, there was another training. This one was more specific, and it was on blended learning. People were trained on blended learning exactly because we wanted to experience the online teaching and the face-to-face teaching, and then teachers needed to have an idea about blended learning. Why blended learning first? And how would we go to blending? And the RELO offered some training. Teachers were trained, and some students also were training about this blended learning program. Next stage is that not only the Relo trained teachers, they trained students, but they continue to support. They continue to support the program. For instance, in my particular case with the Relo, they decided to give smartphone. Remember, I said our students come from lower economical background. Most of them cannot afford a smartphone, let alone buy their data weekly or monthly. So the Relo said, I'm going to provide smartphone. I'm going to provide data to your students and your teachers. And then I will see how I can help later on based on what you face as challenges. So here is another training opportunity the Relo organized with some African countries where we have this blended learning program. I was lucky enough to take part in this blended learning training in Senegal with 106 hours from November to June. We trained like 30 or 40 teachers in this program. And also another training also happened just to reinforce, just to empower teachers on how to use this program. Now, as I said, before the teachers decide to go blended, they should know what is blended learning and why. And as I said, before the COVID-19, there were face-to-face classroom teaching and interaction with students and student teachers. So the way our classrooms are organized, the classroom setting was organized with the fact that students could interact with them, and also they could interact with their teachers, but it was face-to-face. But when came out the COVID-19, with the home learning program, with the integration of technology and social media, we had like computer assisting teaching, online individual learning, offline individual learning, and also online group learning. So we said in some areas they were doing online learning. In other areas, they were doing face-to-face learning. So how about combining these two models? One model supported teaching learning process, plus the other models, that is the traditional schooling with face-to-face interaction. This model then should be complementary. It should be additional aspect of the teaching and learning. So that's how we try to inspire our teachers. That's how we try to trigger our teachers to decide to innovate, to decide to explore, to decide to take up the challenge and see exactly what it will take them to. And you will see relevant findings when we decide to go for this model of blended learning. Well, here is a picture of some African students having a device. What could mean this device to them? What could smartphone mean to them? Is it a mere device that we use for making telephone call? Certainly no. This device is a TV set for them. This device is a radio for them, because our African people are no longer sitting in front of the TV set to watch any program. They are no longer listening to radio broadcasts as we used to do it. Now they have their telephone, they have their TV, they have their radio in their pockets, in their school bag, in their purse, wherever they are. At any time they want to follow a match or a movie or listen to a broadcast. But also this device is internet, is Google, is everything. Whatever they want, they go and check. They no longer ask questions to anyone. They know everything almost, because they have answers to their worries, to their concern. Anything is a myth, but also everything is a curiosity, is a drive to research and know. But also this device, this smartphone is a library. Is a library. They have every resource they want, a variety of resources, unlimited resources, books for reading, video for watching their pronunciation, websites for any kind of research they want to have, they have it in their smartphone. And the only thing they need to know is how far they can use this device, this smartphone. Wow, before I realized that also the smartphone can be a language lab, because they can use the smartphone to develop their speaking skills, to develop their listening skills, to improve their skills in learning languages. They practice by themselves. They have their peers whom they can communicate, they can speak, they can develop, they can practice. So this smartphone, however small, is a good tool, a good asset for these kids. And then they know it better than the teacher even. What they can do with the smartphone, the teacher cannot do that. A parent cannot do that. So they know their area, and that's where we want to find them. That's where they find interest, that we find them, and we try to deliver this learning and teaching environment. Yes, we know that they use smartphone, but we should also ask our question: who are our today's learners in this particular context? They are Gen Z, aka I generation. That is, they have never experienced a life without internet. They were born literally, they were born digitally literate. They come into being and they find internet here. They cannot imagine a life without internet. So we have to make use of internet. One thing is, smartphone is not only part of their life. It's not just a hobby. It's something beyond all this. Something you cannot understand if you are not younger like them. If you don't live in their period, if you don't think as they think, you will not understand that technology is not just normal part of their life. It's not just a hobby. It's something very complex and very important. Yes, they view complex digital information and visuals. They always have their smartphone checking with eyes, having everything digitalized, the information they see and they read, the information they hear and they read and they see. So everything is on the screen, whether on the smartphone, on the computer, or the laptop. But something very extraordinary is they feeling how our students feel if they are not their smartphone. They feel they have kind of anxiety. They are worried. They don't feel at ease. They feel like a fish out of water when they come without their smartphone. So why would we separate them from their smartphone? Let's take this smartphone and find them in this area of the smartphone, and then try to negotiate this learning and teaching so as to have a successful citizen of the future. Students who are tech savvy and who can collaborate with people remotely, but also to be marketable in the future job market, because things are digitalized everywhere you go. So we need to prepare our students in the tomorrow market, that is just the digitalization of job opportunities. Yes, it was also important before we start the program to tell our teachers, our school authorities, our parents, all the community, what would be the benefit of blended learning. Why should we go blending? Teachers should know about that in order to be really committed in it. Students should know about it in order to be real enthusiastic, but also authorities and parents should know the benefit in order to be supportive. One thing we discover is that blended learning offers opportunity to lower affective filter. Remember our class size, 80 students, 100 students, all of them are not very energetic when it comes to speaking. Some people might be very shy. Some people might be very nervous. Some people might be not that so enthusiastic because they are afraid to commit mistake and to be the laughing stock of their peers. But when it comes to be speaking with a smartphone, with a tablet, with a computer, they were like it was not those people that you have in your classroom. They were very committed, very energetic, and very stress-free to speak or to write, or at least to contribute and participate. Another thing is to consider is blended learning offers flexibility and choice of learning. You will see we can have synchronous learning and asynchronous learning. We give assignment and teachers have the possibility to do it at their own pace, not the pace of the teacher, not the pace of the peers, but their own pace. They can turn in the assignment at the time they want, at the day they want, and at the period they want. And also they can learn from different and various devices or resources. Yes, with blended learning, our students are, we try to make them be responsible enough and autonomous in learning. Because when we give them some resources, it's up to them to go and check and see what they can learn from these sources and what they should not learn. It's up to them to decide, to choose from their own experience, from their own interest, and from their own cultural background, what to learn and what not to learn, and how to learn as well. Because when we have them on collaborative projects, they should make proof of a sense of responsibility to participate for the success of this project. Yes, blended learning give more access to education and less barrier to learning. Yes, as I said, it just need to give them resources, online resources, various resources, diverse resources, and it's very easy. On one click, at any time, anywhere, you have access to all the resources you want. No need to go to school, no need to work under the rain, no need to work under the heat. Remember, as I said before we start, we are in a country that is very extremely hot, sometimes raining seasons, sometimes, you know, teachers strike, sometimes other obstacles. But with online, all these barriers fall down and the path to learning is free. With, in addition to the resources, uncountable resources, diverse resources, various resources, so it becomes easy with simple click on your smartphone and it's way to go to the different resources. It also offers opportunities for speaking practices. Yes, oftentimes our students complain of not having time to practice speaking in the normal classroom, in the face-to-face classroom. And this can be explained away by the fact that the teacher does not have time to go to give more practicing activities. Remember, when you have 80 students, 100 students for 2 hours, it's not possible for the teacher to spend a lot of time giving practicing activities. It's not possible for us teachers. So, but with the blended, with this technology and blended learning, we oftentimes have it to practice speaking through online activities, collaborative learnings, and have discussion, have students make videos, and so on and so forth. And another aspect to consider is also the fact that blended learning offers multimodal learning. There are a variety of model learning that students can benefit from, and also the teachers can benefit from. So we need to give all this input to our teachers, to our students, to our authorities, so as to understand and to get ready to go for the blended learning. And that's how we, after this project implemented by the RELO, we wrote a report that we share to stakeholders, the government, to tell them this is a program we initiated, this is a program we implemented, and here are the benefits of the program. Even though there are some challenges, but mostly the important is we have benefits, because instead of having a physical lab center where students can come and go, it costs very expensively to the authority, to the government. So why, if the student has already a lab center in his pocket, I mean in this smartphone is a TV set, this smartphone is a radio, this smartphone is internet, is also a library. So we try to explain this to the government, we try to explain it to the school authorities, we also try to explain to the parents so that they understand that it's worth trying this blended learning model. Yes, when we implemented this, we faced some challenges, went through some challenges that might be the same in other contexts in Africa. And I am very happy to share with you this kind of challenges so that you can have an idea. Surely it will be different from one context to another, from one country to another. The first one, can you imagine, is reluctance of parents to let their students use smartphone. They say smartphone is a very dangerous tool. So no way to let our students have access and total access to smartphone. Better, in some school, there are regulations against the use of smartphone. In my school, for instance, the regulation of school do not allow students to use the smartphone. And culturally background considered is that some parents don't want their kids use smartphone. So what to do then? We have a solution to that, and I will share later on. The second one of obstacle we met is difficulties in the use of some application, whether from the teacher side or the student sides. Because if it comes to use Google Classroom or, for instance, a Zoom or WhatsApp, it might be a little bit tricky for our students to use at that, or for the teachers to deliver accordingly using those smartphones, those devices. So we face these challenges surely. Yes, as I said a while back, some teachers have problems to use accordingly the devices in terms of delivering their content. And also the students have problems in that applications if it is high tech. And you will see why they have these problems. It is because maybe their context has some specificities. Yes, I said a while back that our teachers do not fully familiar with those apps, and they cannot show the students, for instance, how to turn in the assignment. If, for instance, we give an assignment in Google Classroom, the students need to have information on how to turn in the assignment that were given by the teachers. So when implementing this program, when observing, when doing some research, some survey, we find out that actually that our students face up these problems. But we will see again how to come over, how to go beyond these problems of turning an assignment with our teachers. Yes, the students' challenge is to save their data. For instance, if, as I said, the reader provided data, weekly data or monthly data, but what we noticed is that before the term of the data, it was over, because maybe the students were using this data for other purposes, which were not educational one. So the data provided was only for educational purposes, only when we have access classes. But we find out that before the term of the period that was allotted to this data, it was over. And we try to see what would be the solution in order to help our students be aware enough of the use of this data that we provide weekly or monthly. Poor internet connection in rural areas. Yes, in some areas, as I said a while back before we start this session, if we go to the south of Senegal, it rains almost every day. And when it rains, you know, there are some disturbances in the network coverage. The network is not in high quality. And if you come back to some rural areas as well, internet is not very accessible, and power failure is very common, very frequent on a daily basis. And another particular obstacle is lack of adequate learning environment. You know, we live in families in Africa, and you know, people in the family are very important. Imagine the number. I won't tell the number, but imagine that we live with so many relatives, and it's noisy. You know, it's not easy to handle. So unfortunately enough, our students do not have their own individual room where they can seclude themselves. They share the room with so many people, and mostly there is television, there is radio over there. People are discussing. So it's difficult for them to find a very peaceful environment where they can follow the class accordingly. Yes, next to these problems, we try to find solution. And the first solution we said is to try to communicate with parents, try to sensitize parents to let their kid use smartphone, because we told them instead of buying your books to your kids every year, with all your kids that go to school, it might cost more expensive than a smartphone. Instead of, for example, paying the fees to go to the library and let your students take a car to go up to the library downtown, it might be risky. So we try to raise awareness to the parents to say, yes, we acknowledge that there are bad effects of smartphone. However, it could be a wonderful and valuable asset benefit if ever you have trust. You give trust to your students. You give a sense of responsibility to your students. With collaboration of the teachers and school authorities, we can make a good use of this device. The same way we explain our parents and we explain to the school authorities saying that, yes, we agree with the side effects of smartphone, but there are other aspects to consider, and these are the aspects. So imagine you school authority, if you wanted to build a lab center in this room, how much you will pay? Imagine you wanted, for example, to buy computers, to have a computer room and internet to your students, how much it will cost. So it's even cheaper to have smartphone. So let us use smartphone. Let us handle the issue with our students. We will raise awareness. We will control. We will try to do our best in order for them to focus more on the benefits than on the side effect of the smartphone. Yes, another solution we said is knowing that our students are not familiar with, they don't have the required digital skills. We ask teachers to be patient with the kids, to give them time and to slow down, not to be that so ambitious, because it's crystal clear that what you can achieve in terms of goals in a face-to-face class, you won't have it in an online class, because there are some parameters to take into consideration. So we ask our teachers to be patient, to be flexible with our students in terms of online teaching and learning. What else we said is to reduce the platform that can distract the students in their learning. There are so many platforms that students have access to. So we raise awareness and we try to say our students to limit this, not only to avoid distraction, but also to save for data. Because the more the apps you have in your platform, the more you use your data, you consume data. Well, another aspect we found relevant was to teach our students to become independent in order to have successful teaching and learning. Yes, we focus a lot then on peer learning. We have to tell to our students to collaborate, to help mutually, because we found out that when the students invest themselves and have the support of his peer, they learn easily and more efficiently. So we encourage peer learning. When we design our activities, we pay attention to have collaborative learning activities in order to facilitate teaching and learning, but between the students. Yes, one solution also we take to face internet issues and power failure is to resort to low-tech tools such as WhatsApp. When the smartphone is fully charged and you have your data, we can go to WhatsApp and have our classes on WhatsApp. Yes, I used WhatsApp to teach my students reading comprehension. Yes, a normal lesson on reading comprehension using WhatsApp. I just agreed on them the best time and the best day to have the classroom. I negotiate with them some rules and norms when we are having online classes, what to do and how to do it. And I also have a kind of flexibility when it comes now to see some students being a little bit destructive. I try to accommodate with this and try to raise awareness about the importance of behavior and normal behavior. And we do our reading comprehension easily, and students also are very, very at ease to do WhatsApp, because there WhatsApp requires no digital skills. Now, how about best practices in blended learning? So all this were experience we had when we were implementing this program in Senegal. As I said, we have this program starting with access classes. We have trained teachers. We have shown our students how to proceed. And then we conducted some research. We carried out some research. We asked questions. We met students. We met teachers. We exchanged with them, and we tried to provide solution to their for them to better learn and teach blendedly. Now, the first one we said about this, and that could be a best practice, is to focus on meeting the learning outcomes, not only the use of the technological device. For instance, when we decide to use Kahoot for formative assessment, students should not be focusing mainly on the fun aspect of Kahoot, but rather, what were the learning outcomes? Why I decided to resort to Kahoot, or why I decided to resort to breakout rooms. And my focus should be then, when using this, I try to do my best in order to meet this outcome, but not only the mere fact of using Kahoot or Zoom or WhatsApp. Another thing is, and it is crystal clear, that we cannot replace the teacher with technology. No. The technology is here to help teachers. So we tell our teachers that do not think that you are now done because there is technology, because there is Google Classroom, there is Zoom, there is WhatsApp. On the contrary, you must invest yourself a lot. You must design your lesson. You must think deeply and efficiently about the kind of activity you have, the kind of lesson you have, and to see exactly which tech tool you might use in order to meet your learning outcomes. So don't think that now time is you to rest because there is technology, because there is social media. On the contrary, you have to invest a lot of energy, a lot of imagination and creativity and innovation in your teaching and learning with the help, with the support of technology and social media. Yes, we also consider that we need to prepare our learners. We need to have them buy in. We need to have them be interested in WhatsApp, to other tools for learning. We need to make them familiar with Google Classroom. We need to show how to proceed. We need to show how to use Zoom. Recently, I conducted a hybrid conference with my students. But before the day of the conference, I showed them, I made some tutorials. I asked them how to download and install Zoom in their smartphone. I asked them how to join a meeting, how to open the microphone, how to turn off the video, how to interact in the chat box, to the point that they know exactly when they want to participate, how to do. Because the more they feel confident with the tech tools, the easier they want to participate. But oftentimes, when they meet obstacles in joining the lesson or in having problems to turn on the microphone, they might feel not at ease next time to participate in the session. So we have to prepare our learners to that. We have to get them back. We have to have them feel comfortable enough, and then see how they participate in that. Yes, we also need to make sure that online and face-to-face content are supporting each other. And as I said, a blend online learning and face-to-face learning should be complementary, should be additional approaches one-to-one. what we started in online should be completed face-to-face, or what we complete face-to-face should be finished online. We have to flip our classroom. Flipped classroom is essential here because these two models founded in blended learning are complementary, are additional, not excluding one another as models. Yes, it is essential. It is relevant enough to determine why you want to use blended learning and design accordingly. For instance, when I have a lesson to prepare next time, I should ponder over why I should go Google Classroom, or why I should go Zoom, or why I should go WhatsApp or any other device. So first, I need to see the relevance of my lesson in connection to the Zoom or the application I want to use. And once I know that I am going to have a kind of task-based lesson, which tool is most appropriate to have it? Or if I have a speaking session, which tool is best fit for speaking? Or if I have a writing session, which tool is best fit? And then I design accordingly. Here again, the tech tool is not replacing what the teacher should do, but it is here to help teacher achieve the learning outcomes. And how could I know about which tool to use to meet my learning outcome? And how should I know that my students favor WhatsApp than to Zoom, or they prefer Zoom to Google Classroom? I need to discover their learning preferences and learning environment. I conducted a research. I shared an online form and asked my students, for instance, which tools or app do you want to learn best? Which one are you best at ease? Zoom, Google Classroom, Meet, Team, WhatsApp, Instagram, etc., etc. So I give a variety of tech tools and they choose. And I ask them why. They give me the reason why, the obstacles, etc., etc. And after that, I study the results and I say, wow, my students are better at ease with Google Classroom and WhatsApp, but Zoom is a little bit difficult for them because they are not familiar with. So I try to see the learner environment, the learner preferences of my students, and then I resort to that tool and design my lesson based on this aspect. So roughly speaking, this is exactly the experience we had when we implemented blended learning in Senegal for the first time ever in some particular classes. And it was a project. And then we went through and we made some research. We conducted some research. We had some final conclusion. We drafted a report and we shared it with the stakeholders. We shared it with the school authorities. We shared with the teachers, and we shared to partners about the benefit of blended learning, the challenges of blended learning, the solution, and as well as the best practices. Now I am finishing. I'm closing my talk with some pictures, some gallery to show. So here we have the Relo officer, Bill Little, paying a visit to Relo to access students during a workshop of teachers we organized. So we found room for the Relo office to meet and discuss with the access students. So here, as an access researcher, because I participated in this program as a researcher, so I visited the class. I conducted some questions. I asked them some questions in order to have some input in my research. So here I came here and I discussed with them. I asked some questions. I listened to them. They tell their experience on blended learning, why they found it interesting, what were the challenges, and what were the solution, and to what extent these students will commit themselves, will dedicate themselves in the success of this program, how they could participate in raising awareness of their parents, not for them, but for the future generation, for the next access classes, because it was the first generation. we plan to have the second generation. So we wanted them to inform, to sensitize their parents about the use of smartphone, because they benefited from the smartphone. They benefited from the program. They know the interest of the program. So they could be the right person to talk to their parents and to convince them to let us use smartphone for the next generation. So here was one access class of the students drawing. So remember that our access class have only 16 students, no more than 20 students, compared to a normal access class, to a normal class, which can go up to 70, 80, or 100 students. So here we have just like 16 students at maximum. So here we have an evaluation test, face-to-face evaluation. So it was at the time of the pandemic, students were wearing their masks and doing the evaluation on physical presence. Yes, next to the classroom activities, there are extramural activities. And there are so many diverse and important activities in the access classes. Here was one. This access class was celebrating Black Story Month. Now, what is amazing here in this project is everything was done by and for the students themselves. They conducted research to know more about Black story. They made video projections. They made posters. They explained themselves to their peers the importance of this Black story movement. Who was Martin Luther King? What did he do? They tried by themselves first to understand and to explain. And it was to take them to another culture, to another context, to another level, where we have students themselves being autonomous, responsible enough to decide what to learn, what to understand, and how to share and what to share. So this is roughly speaking about the experience we have. So I was like very long in talking, but I think that now you have got an idea about this innovative program we had in Senegal. We had this program for the first time in my area, and we wish to continue the program. We wish we had so many more classes in this program. And that's why we try to inform, to sensitize teachers, to sensitize school authorities, but also to inform the stakeholders that this program is worthwhile. So roughly, this is what I really wanted to share with you. Now I will give back the floor and maybe see if there are questions to answers or something to clarify or to contribute. So thank you, Linda and Liz. I think I should submit now the floor to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Khassoum. This has been a great presentation, very timely, a lot of interesting information. You gave us information not only about blended learning, but gave us a little insight into what happens in Senegal and how you do this blended learning. It was very, very informative. I think there are a couple of questions in the chat, so I'll let Firuz or Gulia go ahead and ask you those questions now so you can address them. And if anyone else has more questions, please go ahead and either raise your hand or put them in the chat box.
Yes, thank you. Hello again, everybody. I just heard that Khassoum is also an access teacher. I'm also an access teacher and coordinator here in Wahda, Tajikistan. And it's really good that we could organize something maybe in the next future, in the close future, we will organize something. Yes, and we have just a couple of questions. One from you, Linda, and he's asking, could you give us an example of how do you assessment with blended learning?
Should I answer directly?
Yes, sure.
Okay. How we do assessment in blended learning? Right. As I showed right back, we have two ways of assessing our students. Whether we have it face-to-face, like the picture I showed you, having students come in the classroom and do the assessment, or we have it online. We have it online, and when we have it online, then we try to see the best time, the best period to have the students, for instance, do the assessment, and we make sure that our students are brought in the school, but in different classrooms where there will be the supervision of the supervisor, I mean the access teacher, because we were afraid if we let them do the assignment online, but at home, there might be something we don't want to have. So we make them come in the school, but in different rooms, for instance, and then there we give them the assignment and they have to submit it online. For instance, the last, it was not an assessment of a lesson we did, but we were just like having some reflective questions, and we asked them to do it online. But if it is, for example, an assessment of the lesson, you know, the access provider, they wanted us to have it face to face, as I show you in the picture. For example, at the end of the program, the students should be assessed, but not online, but face to face, because it was kind of final exam. But the teacher, from his own initiative, wanted to try an online assessment, and that's what I suggested him. I told him that it's better to have the students in the school, but scattered in different classrooms where they will be alone, and then they can do the assignment online. I think maybe I answered that question the way you were expecting it.
Yes, thank you. And there's one more question here, which Mohammed Tamimi is asking: how did you manage to talk teachers into doing this kind of teaching, and what was their motive? Do you think the teachers' training would be enough to encourage them?
Yes, what we first do when we come back, because we were happy, we were lucky to be trained. So when we came back, we first cascade, we first disseminate what we learned from our training. You know, teachers, they like training, or they like workshop, they like some training session. So we first decided to train them or to share our experience in blended learning, so as that they feel a little bit confident enough when it comes for them to try blended learning. So when we come back from the training that we had with Relo, we share through dissemination those activities about what would be blended learning to their own context, and how they could design a blended learning lesson, and how they could use appropriately the tools for blended learning. So we provided so many insights, so many information for them to get ready, to feel confident enough. And next to that, we organized kind of online webinars to practice what they learned from our dissemination, to the point that they feel confident enough and have a try. And teachers were looking for solution, because remember, we were at the time of the COVID-19, so students needed to continue the teaching and learning. So they seized this opportunity to try online. Now, when they were confident enough with the online teaching and school resumed, and we said, well, are we going to get rid of the online teaching because COVID is no longer here? Or are we going to combine the face-to-face and the online, using our resources available? I mean, low-tech resources. And some tried, and with the supervision also of the Relo. Now, since that program was by Relo, offering support and materials, and I said, as a teacher trainer in my area, I said, I will not limit myself to what Relo gave to me. Let us try by our own means how we would implement blended learning, even though we will not have the same results as the Relo. But let's just have a try, because blended learning has got some benefits. And when I tried, I saw that benefits. As I told you, Those who were shy in the face-to-face classroom were very engaged, very committed in the online classroom. When I was doing the couch session, believe me when I say the group who won the competition when we were revising quantifiers with Kahoot were students who were used to be shy in face-to-face classroom. I saw them stood up, collaborate with the students, discuss answers, contribute in the finding of the answer, to the point that their team eventually won the competition. And not only they won the competition, but they said that they understood the lesson better than it was in a face-to-face class. So to summarize, we just try to inform, to sensitize our teachers during our workshop, during informal discussion, but also with the help of the partners. Yes, very recently, I invited the access provider to have a webinar about the micro scholarship access program for teachers to know better about the program and the benefits and so on and so forth.
Yes, thank you. And the next question is from Pierre Sakanye. Maybe I'm sorry, maybe I said maybe incorrect the name. How do you balance online and face-to-face classes? Yes, because too much online classes can kill face-to-face.
Yes, the word he used in his question is quite relevant enough to point out. How should we balance? Yes, well, there is a percentage we give, for instance, in terms of meeting our goals, our learning outcome. We might say like 35% online class and 55 face-to-face, or 60% face-to-face and 40% online. Because once again, as I said, technology is here not to replace the teacher, but to support. And we all know that we cannot overnight get rid of our online, our face-to-face teaching. So the best way we can do is to see the percentage, depending on our own context, depending on also students' availability and students' environment as well. To what extent or to what frequency should we have the online classes, and to what frequency should we have the face-to-face classes? I think it all depends on the context. It all depends also on the resources and the means available. But one thing is sure, balance is essential. Balancing online and face-to-face is a relevant point to focus on and to pay attention when we have blended learning.
Yes, totally agree with you. And the next one is Irene. Do you have plans to use blended learning for normal English classes, teaching classes, apart from the access classes?
Yes, we do. I personally, as I said, I have the intention to inspire my teachers to use blended learning in their normal classes. And we even started a blended learning training to our teachers to give them the input and also to share with them the challenges so that they be aware of the challenges and try to see what could be the solution. And as I said, we have to start with our own means and with our own experiences as well and see exactly what it would be. So remember, one thing in the solution is we should be patient. We should not be that so ambitious. We cannot achieve so many things. I mean, a big thing with online learning. We should have to tailor it with our environment also, with our means also, and with our time and our students' skills and needs. It is almost impossible to want to achieve the same goals as an access classroom. Because in access classroom, students are limited to a certain number. They are providing, smartphone, etc. But how could I do? I personally, I have a class of like 50 students, right? So I want to do an online class. What I did is I provided data. I used my Flipebox. I used my computer and a video projector. Last time I was doing Kahoot with my students. So prior to the class, I come earlier in order to arrange the setting. I put some tables in a group, expecting to have 10 per group. Yes, 10 per group, or five per group then. And I check the technological devices, whether they are correctly put, whether my internet connection is okay. So I did this 40 minutes before the class starts. Now, when it's time for the class, the students, they came and they found out that a table arrangement changed. And they say, so what happened? I say, well, I'm going to have class, but I'm not going to use the blackboard. I'm going to use this one, the video projector. And I say, now go and sit on the different tables over there. So I have like 50 students. So I divide them into 10 groups of 5. So I have the students sit on the different groups. I ask them to put their smartphone on the table. They all bring out the smartphone on the table. So I pick up all the smartphone but one. I make sure that on each table we have one smartphone, because I know that if I let them with their smartphone, they might want to use it while I'm doing my class. So I ask them to use one smartphone. And once I am sure that in each group we have one smartphone, I then give them the Wi-Fi code. I say, go to this code, go to this Wi-Fi, use this code, and have access to internet. So in each table, we have 5 students, 1 smartphone, 5 students, 1 smartphone. Then I explain them about the process of using Kahoot. And I ask the students, one student among you should keep the phone, the smartphone. Others should look at the board, I mean, where the questions are displayed. The others should check the time. The others to check the question. So you collaborate, you assign rules to your members of your group, you collaborate and you discuss, and then. When they all understood the procedures, and I start my revision of quantifiers using Kahoot. So just to say that even though we have big class size, even though we have limited resources, we can organize ourselves to the point that we have the online class dealt with. The same thing I did with WhatsApp when I wanted to teach reading comprehension. I asked them now, at what time in the day would you have data to connect to the internet? They say, sir, 8 p.m. is okay. I say, yes, 8 p.m. So, and before that, I created a WhatsApp group. I explained with them some routines, and I negotiate with some rules like come on time, like don't to share unrelated posts, etc., etc. So when the time of the session started, now I go to WhatsApp and I ask my students to show virtual hands to tell me that they are ready to start. So they show virtual hands. I was calling the roll. Now, when they were all ready, I start my class leading, right? True or false question while reading faces, and post reading faces also. I did it asynchronously. I remember it was at the time of the COVID-19. I asked them, next time we will discuss about the barrier gestures. So can you choose one barrier gesture you find difficult to accept or to respect? Which one you find difficult to respect? Think about one, and one you come back to class and then you give your reason. So at home, they prepared the homework. So the following Monday, when they come in class, we practice the session. They come and they report it, the barrier gesture they find difficult to respect, and they give their reasons. So in short, yes, Irene, we'll be having some challenges with our normal classes, but also we need to try some solution to overcome it. And then one thing is, we should not be that so ambitious to achieve biggest things we cannot do in our particular classrooms, which are big in size and the classroom environment difficult to manage.
Yes, thank you. And I think the biggest problem is the kind of connectivity with the internet. In this case, if you have this internet, you can do everything. I agree with you. And the next question is Muhammad Tamimi is asking, how can you guarantee sustainability of such program after the end of the access program?
How can I?
How can you guarantee sustainability of such programs? Actually, I don't know what kind of programs, but after the end of the access program, maybe this is the difference between after when your students finish access program.
Well, at the end of the access program, what what is the next step at the end of the program? Well, as I said, this program is very beneficial to students in terms of what they gain when they are doing the program, because most of the students who are qualified to this program are those who are at the final year in junior school. It means that with the blended learning program, they are reinforced and they increase their performance. Most often, they all succeed in the final exam at the end of the blended learning program. Now, what happened at the end of this program when they are no longer access students? The program provider said they intend to create a kind of community of alumni of this program to continue to help the students to collaborate and to share. But most importantly, all these students who are alumni are qualified to other programs like the yearly program of the United States. So there are some programs, some scholarship that those students who were alumni in access program are qualified, and mostly they succeed in these programs. So it is to say that, once again, that this program of micro scholarship is not only in the classroom, but remember, there are some other skills that are trained or taught to those students, like leadership skills, community service skills. In the program, there are some activities that are implemented in order to teach students some leadership skills, some community service. And at the end of the program, even though the program is over, the skills are here. The opportunities to implement the skills are here. One thing I give as particular examples is that a teacher said some alumni of a previous program came to another program and helped the students plant trees in the school. It was just to say that we are no longer in this program, but we continue to benefit from this program, or we continue to support the program. Another teacher said he used to be an alumni, and he used to be also an alumni of the yearly program. 10 years after, he became a teacher. So he came back to his area and opened a special class, like access class, but it's not access, a special one. Just try to help the students coming from lower economical background or having some difficulties in order to help them perform well. So to summarize, the access program or the blended learning program in access scholarship program is not only for the classroom activities, but there are other opportunities like the scholarship you can win, like the yearly program you can attend, like the leadership skills you can develop, and the community service that you can do at the end of the program.
Yes, thank you very much. It was the last questions. And yes, actually, our access alumni, when they finish our access, we have the USAN platform. It's United States Alumni Networks, and I hope you guys do the same in your countries. And if not, then maybe Reluctance will organize this. And our access students, our access alumni, I mean, they will continue talking and chatting with us as well. I mean, they are all time there with us in our in our Access Live, we could say it like this. Yes, anyway, thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining. It was a really good session. Linda?
Thank you so much. Khassoum, first thanks is to you for this lovely presentation and very informative. And look at what great ideas you have generated and great conversation. So we really applaud you for today's webinar. And I would also like to thank our TESOL CPD leadership team. We have Lynn, who runs our tech, and Firuz and Gulchera in Tajikistan, who helped us out today. Thank you very much. And also, I want to let you all know that we do have another webinar coming up with Damon Anderson, and that is going to be on June 24th at 11 a.m. Eastern time, but I will be posting shortly some information about that. He's going to talk about a deeper view of necessary 21st century skills using Doodly. So we're all excited to hear that one. Please join us if you can. Thanks to our audience. What a great audience we had today. A lot of participation and from all over the world. It was really fantastic, and we appreciate you joining us, and please join us again for our next webinar coming up.